year. Last weekend in Wigan, it was Rob Cross and Gerwyn Price who took the titles, to Premier League stars getting the job done on the floor. This was the venue where Josh Rock won his first European Tour event last year. Certainly brings himself happy memories. An 8-4 win against Johnny Claydon. He had a good start to the season, performance-wise, not necessarily results-wise. Only came away with one win in Wigan. As for Brett Claydon, well, he'll be grateful to have seen the draw and realised that he's not playing Ross Smith, because he was accounted for twice by Smudger, both 6-5 defeats as well. In the second year of his tour card, it didn't really go to plan last year. Has a lot to do if he is to retain his tour privileges for 2026. My name's Dan McCarthy, delighted to be joined on streamboard number 1 by player, coach, YouTubesman, you name it,
25.
Matthew Edgar. Welcome to Rosmarland.
Thank you, Dan. Yes, looking forward to the start of proceedings here in event number 3.
25.
It's always exciting this time of year as well for the players, because it's a fresh start, it's a new opportunity. Players such as Brett Claydon will be chasing that minimum requirement in regards to keeping hold of that tour card, which is the World Championships and the Players' Championship.
25, so Josh has
ran
won
in
the ball.
to a tricky start to the year, as you mentioned, playing against Ross Smith on both of his first Players' Championships events, numbers 1 and number 2. One of only 3 players who have actually pulled a seed on every occasion, so may
96.
call himself a little bit unfortunate here to once again pull a seed, and one who was in good form last week, as you say, performance-wise, Josh Rock.
Well, as the old adage goes, you have to beat what's in front of you, and the challenge will be a stiff one for Brett Claydon today, because yes, it's only a very small sample size. We've only played 2 of these tournaments, but Josh Rock is top of the average list, 100.22. He was involved in an absolute thriller against Bo Greaves, who sadly isn't here for the next couple of days, prioritising the women's series. But Josh Rock lost that game to Bo, and it was a tremendous finish from the 21-year-old.
Well, that's a small sample, like you said,
85.
event 1 and 2, but a larger sample was announced today on the PDC's Twitter page, which Wikipedia doing his statistics over the last 200 legs, which sees Josh Rock the 7th best player in regards to the form
43.
guide over the last 200 legs played in PDC darts.
Yeah, he's a player
100.
who really exploded onto the scene. Then Little Mania took over, and Josh Rock, as one of the young darting stars, kind of took a back seat, really. But he did have a good year last year. Wins on the Pro Tour Series, the European Tour as well, and he's looking for potentially a 15-dart start. Didn't need to stay on the 18s and go for the bull, with Claydon way back on 249.
I think it was evident, wasn't it, in the recent
55.
World Masters in regards to Josh Rock, that there was just a little sort of error coming in with his technique that he's sort of put right at the start of this year. And certainly getting back to the sort of fluency and the rhythm of which we saw from him a couple of years ago when he first burst on the scene. And remember that 9-darter he hit against Michael
83.
van Gerwen. That was sort of a moment that sort of was stood up and countered.
Game shot.
Well, Josh Rock steps in, hits double 16 for a 16-dart start. Nicely done.
Looking ahead for the year for Brett Claydon,
140.
we've mentioned he sort of needs a strong year, only picking up £14,000 last year. In terms of a strong year, we
97.
estimate around about £60,000 worth of earnings. So his best opportunities, you feel, would be on the European Tour, for which the players will have an opportunity to qualify this very week.
Yep, qualifiers taking place on Wednesday for the Euro Tour
41.
events in Riesa and Munich. Following on from last weekend, where the qualifiers took place for Wiesa and Göttingen. Claydon unsuccessful in both. Josh Rock will be going to both of them. He'll be going to Göttingen as a seed, bumped up because Luke Little is deciding not to play there. That dart somehow stayed in the board.
180.
That's maximum of the day here on streaming board 1 goes the way of Josh Rock, who is looking very good here at getting an early breaker throw against Brett Claydon, who hasn't quite got out the traps here.
41.
once again, doesn't need to entertain the prospect of the ball because Brett Claydon's scoring simply hasn't been there. He's not even half the score after 12 darts. Well, this is much better. It will put pressure on Josh Rock. 180 for Brett Claydon. But Rock, looking at that same target, he won leg one with. Now up for double eight.
24.
Wide of the mark.
Well, now that big shot does become impactful here for Brett Claydon. Gives him an opportunity. Gonna be one dart of tops.
52.
He needs more.
It feels like the kind of game as Josh Rock hits double four. They're the kind of opportunities that Brett Claydon really needs to be taking, because Josh Rock doesn't really look in the mood for messing around.
57.
No, it does feel like a year where we may see some more progression here for Josh Rock. As you mentioned, just outside the world's top 16. And that brings with it now extra royalties in regards to the European Tour and the seedings. So when you look ahead and you look what the year could bring for Josh Rock, he's defending very little when it comes to events such like the UK Open, the next big major on the PDC calendar. The likes of Dimitri Vandenberg just ahead of him. Big prize money to defend.
92.
And Dimitri also not here this weekend. One of 4 of the top 16 players to not be attending here in Rosmalen.
94.
Could give Josh Rock an opportunity to eat into that deficit.
Yes, there were 3 more withdrawals from the original entry list. And in terms of replacements, we've got Michael Flynn,
81.
who is currently level with Michael van Gerwen 2-all. We've also got the 2 previous winners of the Dutch Open, Jarno Bottenberg and Jeffrey Sparadans, as Josh Rock.
138.
Didn't quite tease us. He was looking at the 18s straight away. Very businesslike from Rocky.
32.
Down to a double after 12 darts once again, Josh Rock. You can see why.
Game
He's
shot.
number 7 on that list of the last 200 legs. Big power scoring for Rock, and when he's on, that is kind of his real key strength.
44.
Josh Rock steps away. I think one of his stems is broken, so he's just going through some running repairs.
Just so much more fluent this year, Josh Rock. It was
41.
at that deep set position when he drew the dart back, there was just a little pause, little hesitation, and then what he ended up doing was just playing with the dart in the fingers very slightly. It was just angling the dart and ultimately then engaging shoulder. It's sort of looking like it could break down, but so much more fluent this year.
120.
Well, that looked like the point was almost glued to the barrel. Incredible how it didn't drop to the floor. Gravity-defying darts from Josh Rock.
Remember years ago they brought out those
43.
magnetic darts. No surprise to know they didn't take off.
140.
You say that. I mean, Luke Littler's first board was magnetic.
Very one-sided
25.
feel about this opening game here on board 1.
It's yet another leg where Brett Claydon has thrown 12 darts and he's barely half the 501. You don't need to be a darts connoisseur to know that that's not going to cut the mustard at this level.
70.
Doesn't leave a finish there either. Josh Rock time on his hands, which is why he's gone for the treble 11.
25.
Something we're seeing a little bit more actually now, isn't it? Players opting to stay away from the 25 for the fear of hitting the bullseye.
45.
Well, Brett Claydon is nowhere near, and Josh Rock is looking for a double break of throw.
Game
a 4-0
shot.
lead, and he duly takes it on double 10. This is too easy at the moment for the Northern Irishman.
The averages tell you everything you need to know. 23 points difference between
46.
the pair at the moment. Josh Rock just a little under his sort of 12 monthly stats at the moment. Brett Claydon a long way down. And the concerning thing here for Brett is the amount of darts that are going in the 5. As a player, if you're missing high and low, you can kind of deal with that. It's when you start losing the line on the 20 and you start hooking across to the 5 that you notice there's something not right on the day.
I mean, speaking to you as a coach, Brett Claydon has never exactly had textbook technique. There's very little follow-through. It's almost a little flick of the wrist more than anything. It's a throw that he's managed to make work for himself, but it isn't working right now. First winner of the day, one of our winners last week, Gerwyn Price, 6-2 against Kevin Doots, averaging over a ton. The Iceman looking in fine fettle.
Said he's going to refine the passion, didn't he, this year? And, well, must be easy to do when you're winning all the time, that's for sure.
180.
That might be what we're going to be saying about Josh Rock very soon. Once again, 12 darts thrown. He's down, leaving Brett Claydon in the distance. But there's those 5s again for Brett Claydon. Every throw's involving a 5, and he'll be aware of that. Josh Rock loves double 16 that much. He may go for 2 big 11s.
38.
Trying to whittle it down by hook or by crook. But there's no pressure. This has been a very, very one-sided game.
41.
It doesn't bode well for Brett.
Game shot.
We talk about the event, the 128 players. Everyone's got a different story and a different journey. For players like Brett Claydon, he'll be just looking at first covering his costs. As someone who's sort of been here, someone who's sort of played in this sort of environment, when you're coming away and you're travelling, the first thing you want to do is cover your expense. Especially when you've had a year like you did last year, which would have been expensive. And you come over here and you're not picking up a result early on. It puts pressure on for the rest of the week, because then you've got to try and double up in the other events.
Staying down. Up.
100.
Yeah, different players will have different targets. Josh Rock will obviously be eyeing up at a title win. I'm sure deep down Brett Claydon will as well, but he'll be more realistic and think, I can just get a couple of wins, maybe qualify for one of the Euro Tours. That's a satisfactory few days.
Well, there'll be goals before the title, won't they, for players like Brett Claydon, where you say for Josh Rock, his goal is probably to break that top 16. And the only way he's going to do it here this week is by picking up one of these titles.
Staying up treble 20 in ball.
100.
Game shot and a match, Nathan Espinal.
Well, Claydon down to a finish first.
58.
And he will get 6 darts at it with Josh Rock back on 186. So finally, bit of comfort for Brett. Probably too little too late. That's another dart that's drifted into the 5.
38.
Can afford to make the mistake now.
Until now, he's only had the 1 dart of the double. That coming at the end of a 72 combination. But the first time, a bit of breathing room.
Nicely done.
Cash it in.
Stop.
And avoid the whitewash.
Possibly not. Josh Rock to end in style with a 138 checkout. Not going to go.
Oh, I see. It seemed loud. It's
2
not
remaining, so triple 10 is the target.
106.
It'd be so ironic, wouldn't it, if he wins the leg on double 5? The target is
no worries. I thought it might be out here near me, but I don't. Can you not hear it?
Of this game,
I heard
it
it
in the last
I
start
could
in
pick
hand.
it up, but I think they could over the actual output. So
Just to hold a throw there for Brett Claydon, but it's a leg on the board, and it starts the comeback.
Yes, he's not going to walk away completely empty-handed, but a comeback
60.
you would say is not impossible, but very, very highly improbable. Over on streaming board number 2, where Dan Dawson is taking you through the action initially. Nathan Aspinall, a very good win for the Asps, 6-1 over Kian van Veen. That looked like a tasty first-round tie. Both players averaging in excess of a ton. Nathan's average 104.13. Player who needs to start picking up ranking money. Defending a lot this
59.
year, particularly with the match play in July that he was defending from 2 years ago.
And that'll be encouraging as well to the likes of Josh Rock, who's looking at
180.
breaking into that top 16 as well, when he doesn't really have one of those events where he's going to lose a lot of money in one big chunk.
100.
Could be starting his campaign here very well. Continuing this
90.
form where playing very, very well in the opening games.
$30.
Well, that visit kind of sums up Claydon's game. Josh Rock looks at double 16 for the match. Up for double 8.
63.
2 match darts have gone. He will get more.
Feels like just delaying the inevitable, really, doesn't it, there for Josh Rock?
60.
Claydon not even down to a finish.
It's on the wire. Double 2.
6.
Chasing it round, can't find it, can't get over the line. But he's quite fortunate here that Brett Claydon's still, after 15 darts, not on a finish. But he is now.
85.
Quite fitting, really, that potentially Brett
Game
Claydon's
shot.
last start
And
went
the
into the
match,
5.
Josh
Josh Rock,
Rock.
no messing about on double 1 this time. A very, very one-sided darting contest, as you can see. In the end, Josh Rock's average